Do another verse. What are pretty lights?
There are never enough lights in here for filming. I don't think it's you anything. It's just I think your voice is just low. Okay, I just want to hear. Do you want it, honey? Do you want it one more time? Pardon? It feels good.
Good for you. Being committed.
Exactly. Whatever feels good, babe.
Start one more time. I got up to a little bit of a start. Okay. Try one more time. I had to get it back in.
Yeah.
We need the performers in the corner. That's what I.
We are going to sing a song that is there's a few chairs. There's one.
Here's two.
Just one.
There's two over here.
Two over here. One over here. Three, actually.
Three over here.
And if anyone is brave and wants to sit right down on the floor, we'll
everybody coming to the table. We thought, well, we need to sing this song. Because we happen to have a song that just sits right into that groove. And it happens to be a little kid's song.
You're all kids at heart, right?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Our place is too good. This is a little song called Please Pass the Peace.
Mom makes great tortillas, honey dip in soap appears. My mom can make an apple pie, quick as you can blink an eye. How about it? Let's be friends.
And my new buddy down the block just...
There's a girl in our school, I think she is really cool. She's from Ethiopia, that's way down in Africa. She makes a really tasty soup. She calls it sweet potato stew. Yum yum, she's my friend.
And my new buddy from Bombay eats his food in a clever way. His fingers act just like a spoon. Wish I could eat that way too. I've heard his pops was playing on a wonderful sitar. I wish he'd come and play for me in my backyard. Around this table, we all should gather round, share a meal together, lay our differences down. When we join together, life becomes a feast. So please, pass the peace.
I saw it program on TV. It's talking about the Middle East. I like to know those children there. Wouldn't it be fun to share?
Stories and a lovely meal, learn the way each other feels. How about it? Let's be friends.
One more time.
The world is a table, we all should gather round, share a meal together, lay our differences down. When we join together, life becomes a feast. So please, pass the peace. Please, pass the peace. Hey Kelly, would you give me a little sprinkling of kindness?
Well, but could you pass me a little compassion, maybe?
You know what? This is the best friendship I've ever tasted. part of a committee or as a volunteer, in any capacity that you're able to, we all welcome you to the feast.
There are lots of places to get involved with OMNI. We're glad you're all here. And you know, it really is a reality. It's very exciting. I mean, you can see the inertia, and you can feel that we really have become. I think we should be very proud of ourselves. So, without any further ado, I'm going to introduce the founder of OMNI, and one of my greatest heroes I've ever had, and it is Mr. Dr. Dick Bennett.
Yesterday, I had 2 phone calls asking about tonight and asking about OMNI and what they might do. Neither one had ever participated in politics. And so I gave a long speech about the very many things that they might do, and I hope that they would come tonight. I haven't met them yet, but we'll see them at some place in the future. But my point is that both of those persons worked full-time, but they wanted to work for peace too. And this characterizes OMNI, that overwhelming majority of the persons working for OMNI are workers. They have a family. They are making a salary. I'm the only retired person in the organization, just about. Maybe Eunice, you might be. I really am perplexed about that, as some of you have heard me complain. Where are all the retired people? But in fact, persons who are already very busy with family and with business are working for OMNI. Our treasurer, Stephen Scatterbo, who was almost killed a year ago in an automobile accident, was rear-ended coming to this meeting tonight. So he's at the hospital getting an x-ray to make sure that he isn't injured again. But he is our treasurer. And I first met Stephen Scatterbo down on the square on the 4th of July. I can remember this tall fellow coming up and saying, well, what are you all doing here? What's going on? And he sat down and talked with me for a little while and gradually did this, and then he added to that, and now he's our treasurer. An excellent treasurer. But of course, our vice presidents just sang to you. I hardly think that I need to introduce or tell you anything about Donna and Kelly, except that they travel all over the United States working for their profession. And Europe. And then, but when they come back to Fayetteville, they hit the ground running for OMNI. And there are many, many activities that they do for us. At the present is our carbon caps task force, which Kelly committee, which is chairing with Edward Manick. I didn't say that, Ed Manick. Your name bores me. Edward Manick and Art Hudson, and many of you also here. I think I saw Annie earlier, and Stephen is here. And so we have a very active carbon CO2 committee. And what am I thinking about for Donna, especially is just, I recall her Halloween party that she put on downstairs, and so many dozens of things. They work hard as full-time professional musicians, and you see them here tonight. I first met our presidents in various ways. I'm looking right now at our president. Would you please rise, Gladys? Gladys Tiffany. And our other president, would you please? I remember meeting you, Gladys, who arrived at one of our meetings one night, just out of the blues, am I right? And saying, well, this sounded interesting, and I'll see what's going on here. And now Gladys is our president. And you have worked for so long, I feel like I knew you long before. So that we're in good hands now for the future, and we have always been future oriented, and so that's why right now we're not talking about the past, but we're talking about the future. Are our board members here, or if the board members who are here, well, would you please rise? Are there some here? Richard Tiffany in the back, and Stephen, the president of our campus organization, and Marion Gordon, who does everything, including all of our cameras, all of our so the future now is with our new presidents and our new vice presidents and our old treasurer, and the entire board stayed on, and we're determined to keep building for a culture of peace. And I want to invite all of you here. This would make quite a board if all of you accepted my invitation. But the OMNI has simply grown by people coming and saying, I want to do such and such, and that's the way it's gradually happened. And so please contact our officers if you would like to visit the board and see what we do or participate in any of our projects. And thank you all very much. I've had a wonderful 5 years, and I hope to have another 5 years.
To mention something very important about tonight. We're going to have a little program here, quite short, and then we're going to move on to discussion group like we always do. And we're going to have 4 different groups. But there's something I need to mention, or Gladys will kill me. I thought I had it in my hand, but there's a questionnaire.
The interest form.
There is a questionnaire. This interest form is very, very important. No matter what happens tonight, I ask you all to fill out the interest form, because we have a database now, and we want to put you in that database so that we know what you're interested in and what your priorities are. And so please, if nothing else, because I know it's kind of pandemonium at times with so many people in such a small space, but we need that. Where are they? And where are they?
Well, they're in his hand.
Why don't we go back out of this room, won't we?
Yeah, when we come back, if you have to go out, they are on the table with the membership forms, where you sign up for membership, that's where they are. We will pass them out at the end if you haven't had a chance to go over them.
And without further ado, I want to introduce you to an amazing young woman. We're just thrilled to have a special performance tonight by a young woman named Alexis Wilkins. When she was 6 years old, she wrote this song. She's 8 now. But this woman is amazing. Would you put your hands together for Alexis? We're going to have to come to our open mic for peace and sing the song sometime too. I'll tell you all about it.
Should have brought a box for Alexis to stand on. You can hold her own. You just have to kind of crane your neck around a little bit here. Be good for you. All right, are you ready? Okay, here we go.
selfish may not be. Leave Mother Nature so she can grow in peace. Yeah, I feel higher than the mountains, higher than the sky, higher than the sun. Because of you and I, we can make a difference in total love and peace. It's about tomorrow, so we can live free. So we can live free. Make a ring of friendship, sing with all of us. Kids and animals, trees and earth are protected from harm. So our spirits can breathe free. Yeah, we can make a difference if we hope and try. Oh, I feel higher than mountains, higher than sky, higher than the sun. Because of you and I, we can make a difference. So love and peace. Think about tomorrow, so we can live free. So we can live free. So we can live
Thank you. That was a treat. Wow. That's true. I should mention that. We had this monthly open mic for peace, which I think most of you know about, and we've had
First Sunday.
many young people have performed in that open mic. It's been really, really a good venue for such a thing. That was very special. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I have the pleasure to introduce another one of my heroes. This is an activist. He's a tireless activist on every cause. I think everybody knows this person like the back of their hand. But this is none less than Art Hobson.
Just around London now, so I can say anything I want. We've been jibing each other for about 40, 50, 60 years. How long is it? Just keeps growing and growing, doesn't it? Alexis, I love that song. We can make a difference. And like John Lennon said, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people here. A lot of people. And it's growing and growing. It's great. Good to see everybody here. Actually, Dick Bennett's one of my oldest friends. No pun intended. We got to know each other pretty well around the Vietnam War days when we could be found standing every Wednesday noon for an hour in a silent vigil for peace from about 1967 through 1973 with about a dozen other folks out there. So we go back a ways. OMNI is such an institution in this town. It's so well known, so well established. It's hard to believe that Dick Bennett dreamed it up just 5 years ago. He's really been the inspiration and the spark plug for just all sorts of wonderful things happening here. He's got an incredible range of activities. And part of his philosophy has always been that rather than just reacting to events of the day, like, say, the Iraq War, which this group has been reacting to in a very good way with demonstrations and things. But that's not the only thing that OMNI does. Dick Bennett's vision, I think, is to change the culture rather than just specific events. With things like peace parks and working with schools and working with library collections, things like this that over the long run really change the culture, because we've got to think differently. It's not just a matter of some politics, really. It goes into our hearts, and we need to change the culture. This is really Dick's vision, I think. Summarizing, when I started thinking about this talk, when Tiffany asked me to do it, I thought I'd sort of summarize OMNI's work and Dick Bennett's work with OMNI, but I saw that it was impossible to summarize OMNI's work. To summarize OMNI's work would be something like trying to summarize the contents of Dick Bennett's home office. If you've ever been in his home office, you know what I mean. Only Dick Bennett even knows what's there, I'm sure. Tiffany sent me a list of some recent happenings and projects that OMNI has carried out. And that list was at least 60 projects long just for the last year. And I know if it had been a complete list, that was just a partial list, it would have been 100. You can't summarize what OMNI is doing. But the thing about OMNI is it reaches out to a wide diversity of people and gives them a platform to do their projects. Anything in the area of peace, justice, ecology, people are welcome to come in here and organize their own projects. You look around, you see a diversity of people, we've got a diversity of projects going on. And that's where that 100 projects for last year came from. It came from you folks. And this is a big part of Dick Bennett's vision, really, is to see that OMNI needs to form a platform for others to do their thing. And I'll give you just two examples from my own family. My wife, Marie Riley, is taken by the Peace Gardens and by the Peace Poles. And she's also a photography buff. And so she combined those three interests to make up an absolutely beautiful peace calendar for OMNI for 2007. And I hope everybody's bought one, because it's just wonderful. So people get sort of dragged into OMNI. You pursue your own interests, and suddenly you're part of OMNI. For my own part, I've been interested in global warming for many, many years. And so when Kelly organized a project around An Inconvenient Truth, the showing of the film out in the period of commercial theater, I was very interested, and a whole lot of other people got interested in that. And out of that interest came the Carbon Caps Task Force that Kelly just mentioned. And out of that might come some statewide legislation. So again, I've been kind of dragged into being more of an activist than I had been with OMNI, because it forms a platform for some natural interests of mine. Gladys and Melanie, you got some really big shoes to fill. Dick is the ultimate do-gooder. And in this day and age, when the earth is not doing so well, we need our do-gooders. Amen. I want to finish with 6 lines of poetry by women's poet Adrienne Rich. My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. Thanks.
Thank you, Art, very much. That's you know, for the few of you who don't know, Art is a retired physics professor from the U of A. I had to ask him tonight, I said, are you semi-retired? I mean, when I call him, he's in the office every day at the university.
7 days a week.
Yeah, so I don't know if I get that retired part.
They just don't pay me, that's why. And I don't have to go to faculty meetings.
Well, the next speaker I have the honor of introducing is the president of Arkansas Now, and now she is also the co-president of OMNI, Melanie Dietzel.
Thank you, Kelly.
You can take it right now.
Short person on the board. Since its inception, The OMNI Center has grown in membership and in projects. I'm sure that most of you have either participated or heard about the efforts that we make throughout the year and the many events that we organize. And you should have little booklets that you can check out in the back and get an idea of all the different committees involved. All of these are significant in their own purpose. For example, it takes many members and friends to carry out large marches and rallies for peace. Yet we had 2 powerful recognitions of milestones in the war in Iraq. With the participation of members, we were able to staff a table at Saturday morning's farmers market throughout the summer to educate people, to get petitions signed. And one incident that I will mention, someone who didn't realize, and this may have happened more than once, I just witnessed it once when Gladys was talking with a parent who didn't realize that they could sign their child out of the military recruiting him when he was still in high school. And so just that one young person, we may have saved his life just because his parent discovered the recruiters couldn't just come and recruit, that they could say no to it. One of the big events that we have every year in Fayetteville is Springfest. And this is a big event for OMNI in that it gives us our greatest exposure to the public. We have a community folk music stage every year. And once again this year we will be at the Rose Garden in the at the Walton Arts Center. And we are very fortunate to have someone who is adept with both music and organizing to pull us together for this project. Please welcome Janie Hewlett.
I went ahead and wrote down what I had to say because I was supposed to say it quickly. I'm one of the people that got involved with OMNI and had some things I wanted to do and found it just really exciting that if you want to do something or you want to have an effect on your community, you can join this organization, you can put the concept together of your project, you can get people to help you do it, you can get tons of community support. It's just really an exciting opportunity. And one of my main projects has been putting on Springfest every year. We started 3 years ago. Well, I'll go ahead and just read it. I'll read this from end to end. The OMNI Folk Stage at Springfest this year, April 21st, 2007, represents one of OMNI's largest public relations opportunities of the year. This year we're celebrating Springfest's 25th anniversary. With good weather, there should be 20,000 plus people on the street that day. For the past 3 years, OMNI has produced the OMNI Folk Stage. I'm popping my peas. I should know better. For the past 3 years, OMNI's produced the OMNI Folk Stage, celebrating political and social change through music. The Walton Arts Center has graciously donated the entire Rose Garden to OMNI for this very special event. This year, in recognition of what a good job we've done, the organizers of Springfest have decided to limit their music stages to just 2 stages instead of 4. The main stage at the south end of the Walton Arts Center parking lot across from the Walton Arts Center, and the OMNI Folk Stage at the Rose Garden of the Walton Arts Center. There will also be a dance and performing arts stage in the front of the Walton Arts Center. These changes will greatly increase our exposure during Springfest. We have a great lineup of some of the best musicians in Northwest Arkansas. Thank you. I like that. Okay. So some of the best musicians in Northwest Arkansas planned for the stage this year. We will need a number of volunteers for the day for the event to run the OMNI booth, to hand out OMNI flyers at the gates, to set up and take down and clean up the event, and so on. If you'd like to get involved with this OMNI event, we could really use your help. I'll be at the door over here after this little meeting here, and if anybody wants to sign up for Springfest, give me your name, address, email. And this year, Kelly's already talked about the Environmental Action Group. The focus of the OMNI set of what we're going to do in the Rose Garden is going to be the environmental action things that the bill they're working on, the carbon capture legislation, and global warming. Kelly will talk more about that in the environmental meeting, I'm sure. Now for the important part of what I have to say. With Springfest being 20,000 plus people in the street, we really need to utilize this event, this great opportunity to outreach to the community at large and so showcase all the really interesting and exciting things Omni does throughout the year. Last year at Springfest, we decided to create a series of public relation advertising banners to market the many facets of the Omni Center to the general public at Springfest, Saturday Market, and any other public events that Omni hosts. Lauren Hawkins, which is here, thank you very much, created this piece. This is the first piece we did in the series. And this year we're hoping to inspire each of Omni's action committees to create a PR banner to encourage public involvement and inform the public about all the exciting things that the individual committees are doing for our community. The public needs to know that Omni sponsors a radio station, about Omni's work developing and sponsoring a carbon caps bill in the Arkansas State Legislature, about the inspiring and entertaining open mic that Omni does on the first Sunday of every month, about the Video Underground, about the Women's Open Mic, about Omni's anti-war activities, about the forums and the wonderful speakers Omni brings to Northwest Arkansas, and the list goes on and on. But we need more public exposure. You know, Omni, with this many people, is still virtually unknown in Northwest Arkansas. You know, we really need to get out, and this opportunity we need to just utilize in any way possible. And we felt that banners, especially if they're PR banners that are going to give information, you're going to get 100 times more people reading banners than are going to pick up a flyer or a leaflet, especially if they're in places around stages and in areas where people are going to be drawn in. Okay, specifically what I'm here tonight for is to ask each of you to get involved with the individual action committees, and for as many of the action committees as possible to organize, come up with the concept, wording, and design for a public relations piece that represents the projects of their specific committee. Also to find and work with the graphic artists. We already have 3 graphic artists that have said they'd work on the project in creating banners like these, specifically in this format, and to try to come up with a sponsor to help pay for the production of the banners, which should cost about $100 to $150 each. I'm going to sponsor another banner or 2 this year. I paid for this one last year, and we went ahead and sponsored it. I put a sponsorship. We have a very fine sponsorship line. One little bit drag line there. Again, sponsorship for the artist and for whoever sponsors the banner. You can donate it to somebody. Somebody can use it for a business thing, but we're encouraging people to get involved. And if anybody wants to sponsor a banner, again, contact me at the door, and we'll arrange to, you know, one-sided banners like this with the frame and everything is $100. If we decide on 2 sides, which we probably won't, they're $150. But, you know, for $100, you can say something to thousands and thousands of people in Fayetteville.
Yay.
Okay. Where we are? Okay. Would each action committee decide if they would like to produce a banner, and would the committee nominate a coordinator for the project? Would each coordinator give me their name, phone number, and email address? I'll act as a liaison for information about the size and format of the banners, and I'll interface with the printer. If there are any graphic artists here tonight, I'd also, you know, anybody that I haven't already roped into it, we really need help. We need all the help we can do at pulling these off and getting as many of these done as we can. I just want to thank everybody for all the involvement in Springfest so far. You know, this year's going to be another one. The organizers of Springfest have decided that we put on the best stage at Springfest, so they're totally into keeping us, the Rose Garden as a permanent, Omni's Rose Garden as a permanent part of Springfest.
Thank you very much, Jamie. He does. He's such a worker. He's got the whole thing figured out. He's sort of months away. You know? I wish I had those organizing skills. So we're getting very close to where we're going to break into groups. And so here to tell you how that is going to work. And this is going to be fun. This is a very productive thing we do each year at the membership meeting. And so we are going to, I would like to introduce the other co-president of Omni, who's going to help us understand what's getting ready to happen, and other things. Gladys Tiffany.
I got to tell you that the annual meeting is one of the most fun things every year. It's just so incredible to see everybody coming together. I mean, this is not all of the people who have an attachment to OMNI, but it's just so good when so many of us can come together. We have really come to realize that it's just not possible to feel the kind of connection that we want to feel and to grow the kind of community we want to grow with one annual meeting. It feels like we need to have more meetings. This year we are going to try for the first time to have quarterly forums. We're going to call these member forums, and they're going to be 3 others other than the annual meeting. And then the first one that will happen will be April 13th. We're going to spend Friday the 13th having an annual meeting. And I hope every one of you will come. Because there's so many issues. You know, we're going to talk about 4 issues tonight of the multitude of problems that our nation and our world are faced with. And there are a lot of people in this room who have a lot of knowledge and expertise on a lot of different topics that could be very helpful to the rest of us as we try to figure out the best way to address some of these problems. So if you know of issues and methods and techniques that are intended and useful in helping develop a culture of peace, and it may be that one of the conversations that we need to be having is, what kind of culture of peace are we talking about? Because Dick has been talking for 4 years now about the culture of peace, and we're kind of coming to realize that we don't know what it is. None of us have really ever lived in a culture of peace. We're kind of making it up from scratch. But the thing is, we know that what we're doing is not working, and that we have got to develop some other way of relating to each other as human beings in order for us to survive on the planet, not kill each other off, and not destroy the world that we live in. So we have picked 4 out of this multitude of possible topics that we have panels and people who are willing to tell you what they know and understand about the topic that they're talking about. And those topics will be, and I'll repeat this, but we're going to do one on the environment, which is specifically going to be about global warming, and that one's going to meet right here. There's going to be a second one that's going to be about the genocide in Darfur that you have been hearing a lot about. You may not be aware that there's a student group who's preparing to do local work on a divestment campaign specifically toward the university. And so that is going to be right outside in the fireplace pit. Then there's going to be a march. On March 11th, we're going to have the 4th anniversary march around the anniversary of the Iraq War. And that one will be meeting right downstairs where we ate, right when you go into the downstairs, but that's called the deep end. And then we're going to talk, and some of us will be discussing we're calling it building a local culture of peace. And what we want to talk about is, what do we think the culture of peace is? So we're going to talk a little bit about what everybody thinks the culture of peace is, and then we're going to think about how we can actually make it real. So now I would like each one of the facilitators for these 4 groups to come up and just give you a little bit of information about what they're going to talk about. And then if you need us to repeat where those locations are, we'll go over that again at the end. But Kelly, how about if we start with you?
Okay, just real short, but we are focused on global warming. And we came together trying to create a carbon caps bill, kind of like California passed last year. And it's evolved, it's changing. Our mission is always shifting, and tonight we're going to talk about that. But we are not going to quit, and we haven't given up either. It's still in the works. But this group is it's a fast-moving group. We've got awesome people in it already, and we would love for you to participate. We're going to outline a new scheme that I've kind of come up with that will hopefully encompass everybody that joins our group, to kind of create a larger task force. So that's what we'll do. And we're meeting in here.
Let's see, who would like to go next? Melanie, you want to tell us about the 4th anniversary of the war? Sure.
war in Iraq is the issue most prominent facing Congress today. They need to see and hear the constituents standing up and saying, enough. This afternoon, the cost of this war was up to $362 billion. But that's just money. 3,067 of our sons and daughters are dead. Thousands of others are maimed and are mentally and emotionally damaged. Hundreds of thousands of Iraq's civilians have been killed, many younger than 5. The infrastructure of the country is destroyed. We have to make Congress have the courage to say no to this president. Well-organized marches and rallies get news coverage. The more people involved, the better organized the march. The better organized the march, the louder the voice going to D.C. demanding an end to the madness of this war. One of my favorite songs is Peace Train by Cat Stevens. So, if you are a poet, a publicist, a preacher, a professor, if you are a techie, a teacher, a truck driver, if you are a singer, a songwriter, an artist, a homemaker, a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, young, old, I'm inviting you to get on the peace train tonight.
I got to tell you that the resource person for that is going to be Greg. Greg Moore, would you wave at us? But he had a helper. Abel Tomlinson, who organized the November March last year, was going to be a helper with him. But Abel felt that he had to go to the Washington, D.C. March. And in fact, OMNI is what represented well in that Washington, D.C. March. We have several people who took off for that, so they're not here today.
Does everybody know about that?
No.
D.C. March?
Does everybody know that there's a major march happening tomorrow in D.C.? There will be, hopefully there'll be 1 billion people there.
Against the war.
Against the Iraq war, right. Yes, mainly United for Peace and Justice is organizing that one. Let's see, Karen? Mervin going to speak? Okay. Mervin Jabari is the resource person for this group.
Well, you all know the facts about the genocide. About 400,000 people have died so far. Tens of thousands of women and girls as young as 8 have been raped and tortured on a daily basis. And the refugee camps where 2.5 million people are living now are being attacked. In fact, the men in the refugee camps do not want to leave and go get firewood, so they send the women out, and their justification is if the men leave, they get killed, but if the women leave, they get raped, tortured, but they come back alive. And that's not a choice anybody should have to make. There's something that we all can do here in Arkansas, and that's divestment. We're doing this at the university, and we're also doing this at the state legislature. In fact, a senator has agreed to take it to the state legislature. So right now, we need your support. It's a critical time. We need to call legislators, let them know about what's going on, and tell them to co-sponsor the bill. The bill is already with the state legislature. They're trying to put it into Arkansas legal language and stuff like that. But right now, we need to get co-sponsors, and we really need your help. We'll be meeting by the fireplace there. So. Yeah.
And then the cultural piece, I'm going to leave it up to you to decide. I have decided that there's no way I can just determine what the cultural piece is on my own. I need input. And I hope that there will be OMNI people who feel like they want to talk about that so we can just begin the process of deciding what it is we want our culture to be. We'll be meeting down in the OMNI office, and I want to just before we break up. Now, does everybody kind of know where they're planning on going? If you know where you want to go, you need to pour this. But I want to just remind you again that these interest forms are incredibly important. We used these so much last year, and we didn't get to use them nearly as much as we will now that we have this good database. So please, we will have just a few minutes at the end of the session to fill them out again. If you haven't got a chance to, we'll pass them around and give you a chance to fill them out at the end. We want to know what you want to do. And secondly, I just want to make sure you know about this little member manual, which was created for us by Susan Eidlet. And this is your gateway into OMNI Center. We have been told many times in the past year that people would like to help, but they don't really know how to get involved. And so this book gives you just a little description of some, but not all, of the incredible things that OMNI does, with the contact number for someone who is kind of one of the lead persons in that group. So now please look at this book, use it in the same way we're going to use the interest form. We're going to take this and say, okay, how many people here are interested in doing this Darfur divestment thing? How many people are interested in the radio station? Anybody here got something they would donate? There's that stuff is going to be on this. Now, when you want to know, you go to this book and you say, okay, what are they doing that I might want to put some energy into? And just think about it. Okay, any questions? Okay, now you will have 45 minutes total. And we're running kind of late, so we may not get quite our 45 minutes. But a 2-minute warning will be, we have a timekeeper who will come around and tell you 2 minutes, and at that point, come back here. Okay? All right. Thank you, everyone.
I joke about it, but I think everybody knows that in some ways this issue dwarfs everything. And I've always known that, but when I saw Inconvenient Truth, it kind of sunk in that it's time to stop talking and it's time to start doing something. I mean, we no longer can afford to sit around and talk about whether this is a problem or whether we're going to do something or not. It's time to do it. Okay, and so this group is doing that very mission. And by the way, this is not the whole group. This has become somewhat of the inner circle, I might call it. And there are other people that are very important, and by the way, they're not here. And there are people who are important in the room as well. In fact, we've been meeting for a while. I'd appreciate it if you all stand up, the other ones that have been coming to our meetings. Just
Let's just raise our
All right, raise your hand. Okay, there's several of you here. And it's been a really exciting group. What we started out doing was to create a carbon cap bill, and now our mission has widened and become something. It's still that, but we're expanding our scope. I'm going to let the format of this. We're supposed to do this for 45 minutes. So we're going to. But these folks are all a great expertise, and we're really lucky to have them. And so I want to give you a chance to get to know them all, and. So I'm going to give each of these folks up here at the table a few minutes to speak about what their priority is, or maybe something they're focusing on. And so from the very beginning, by the way, I didn't do this alone at all. It kind of happened simultaneously with one of my very best friends, and that's Edward James on the far end. And he and I kind of got this thing off the ground together. And I'm so indebted to him. And so I'm going to let him speak first. Edward has been an activist in this town forever, since the beginning of time. And he's a master woodworker as well, and a very good friend of mine. So he's going to give you a quick update on what we've done with this bill. So Edward, please.
When we were talking earlier about how Dick Bennett draws people in, and if you mention an interest that before you know it, you volunteer to do something related to that interest. And somewhere along the line, I became a OMNI delegate to the Citizens First Congress, which is it's a People's Congress held in Little Rock that has delegates from all over the state, and they get together and have a caucus and choose their priority issues for the year. And they have a paid lobbyist that works on legislation at the state capitol. And so I attended the Citizens First Congress, and it breaks into caucuses like we're doing today. It breaks into groups to talk about issues. And I was in the environmental caucus, and the way it happened there was, global warming and environmental causes is something I've been interested in since the early 70s. And Yvonne Siegel, who was a member of OMNI, had written a proposal for a global warming legislative action, but she was not able to attend the conference, and so I introduced that proposal. And to my surprise, I mean, global warming has come to the forefront in such a short amount of time. It was voted as one of the priority issues for the Congress to take on for the year. And during the same time, this OMNI carbon caps group had been working on having meetings and trying to develop some legislative solutions to limit carbon emissions. And so at some point we coalesced and tried to develop legislation. You know, Art and Kelly and Stephen Pollard and Abel Tomlinson and Gladys Tiffany and had been meeting with the other members of the CAPS group and trying to figure out how we could get some legislation at the state level, since there were no federal standards for carbon emissions, since the auto cafe mileage standards had not been increased in far too long. We thought that if we could get some legislation through at the state level, at the very least it would put some pressure on our federal representatives and senators, Blanche Lincoln and Mark Pryor, to have the willingness to step out on this issue if they felt like at the state level we were supporting it. And on the other hand, if the federal regulations never came to be, we would have something going in the state. So the evolution, we've attended numerous meetings. We all carpooled down to Little Rock to meet with the people from around the state who felt strongly about this issue. And there's a lot of expertise. There's scientists, you know, Art, the professor from Fayetteville, and there's a physics professor from Little Rock, and, you know, just a wealth of knowledge. And we've met regularly, and we've had phone conferences. And the evolution, you know, we're trying to be successful, and the evolution of the process led us to the point where we're hoping to get a package put forth by the governor to create a commission to develop the legislation to limit carbon emissions and to set the standards and to find out, you know, how we can do some energy efficiency improvements in people's homes. And there's been a meeting. The plan has been finalized. There's been a meeting with the governor's staff, and today is the day that, in theory, the final package will be presented to the governor's office to see if we'll get the support that we need. And, you know, we've all attended more meetings, I suspect, and spent more hours in telephone conferences and, you know, bureaucratic sort of situations that, you know, we've enough for a lifetime in these last few months. And we're looking forward to doing some things that are short and positive and, you know, actions that don't, that it can be a one-night action. I think Kelly's going to talk about those.
Thank you, that's good. That's good. Second, I want to introduce something also very key to what we've been doing. You already met Art Hobson. He was the one that penned the first draft of our bill that we introduced. And but there's other priorities that have surfaced as this thing evolves. And so I'd like Art to talk about that.
Well, we've come to realize that new coal plants are a very big deal, and we better pay specific attention to that problem. It's really a kind of a catastrophe. There's a coal rush going on right now. I don't know if you're